सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति 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 Om Tat Sat, Om Namah Shivaya,
Om
Hari
Tat
Om.
Hari Om.
Okay, so we had completed the 66th verse and we were on the Bhashyam, right? The very elaborate Bhashyam which is there at the end of the 66th verse. And we were seeing the argument that Nahi Nitya Vastu Va Jnanena Kriyate. The Nitya Vastu, that is Jnanam, is not, then as Brahman, is not produced by Jnanam. So Moksha, Nitya Vastu, is not produced by Jnanam. That was what the argument was. And we saw that the Purva Pakshi, who is a Jnana Karma Samuchayavadi, he catches on to this statement. What is the statement? Nityam Vastu Nahi Jnanena Kriyate. The Nityam Vastu, which is Moksha, is not produced by Jnanam at all, he says. Right? So that is the statement. And in that case, he says, will not Jnanam be without any purpose, without any prayojanam, it is not totally useless. If Jnanam cannot produce moksha, what is the use of Jnanam? And Shankara responds. He says that Jnanam cannot produce moksha, that I agree. Because moksha is nityam vastu, eternal. Right? And eternity cannot be produced by
मैंने
Jnana.
पानी डाल दिया इसके बाथरूम में वाइट
I will again request all of you all, if anybody has got his phone on, please put them off. Because the disturbance comes in the recordings also. Okay, so Shankara says that I agree that Jnanam cannot produce moksha because moksha is anitya vastu, eternal vastu, and that infinite entity cannot be produced by anything, Jnanam or otherwise. But he says, I agree only to that part of a statement, which says that Jnanam cannot produce moksha. Okay. Then what do I not agree with? He says it is not useless because it removes avidya, it removes ignorance. And what is that avidya? It is the misunderstanding that I am a samsari jivatma. And when that misconception that I am a jivatma is removed, then what is the visible result? Visible result is I am Brahman. If I am not jivatma, then I have to be Brahman. Therefore, knowledge seemingly, but as if produces moksha. He gives an example. When the sun is obstructed by a cloud, the sunlight we do not experience because the cloud is there in front of the sun. But when a breeze comes and the cloud is blown away, then the experience of sunlight comes. But do we say that the breeze produce sunlight? We don't. Why? Because the breeze only removed the obstruction. The sunlight was always there. Similarly, he says, Jnanam removes the obstruction, the misconception that I am a samsari, and what remains is the Drishtaphalam. Moksha is experienced directly. Right? So, he says, Drishta Kaivalya Phala Avasanatvat. In the end, it results in the Drishta Phalam of moksha. That's a very important point being made here. Drishta Phalam, which is an experienced, phalam. Moksha is experienced here. It is available for experience here and now. Right? And how is it experienced? It is not experienced through any of the indriyas. So your knowledge can be two. Knowledge given by the indriyas, by your sense organs, and knowledge which is known internally without the sense organs. which we call Sakshi Pratyaksham, understood by the Sakshi itself. And therefore, the Moksha Phalam is a Drishta Phalam. It is available right over here. Experience Phalam it is. And it is known internally, not through the sense organs. That's a very important idea. Drishtam is Sakshi Pratyaksham. Drishta Phalam is Sakshi Pratyaksham, which means that whether you are a jnani or not, only you will know. Drishta means available to you because it is Sakshi Pratyaksham. If it was available to the sense organs, it would be available to the sense organs of everybody, right? But it is not. It is only Sakshi Pratyaksham and therefore internally known to you. Whether I am a jnani or not, only I will know. Whether I know that I am Satyam and the entire universe, anything apart from me is Mithya, who will know? Only I will know. Therefore, never ask, how will I know whether a person is a jnani or not? You will not. The only person you can know whether he is a jnani or not is yourself, right? And remember that in this, it is not that you don't see the universe. You perceive the universe, you experience the universe, but you cannot count it as something apart from you, right? Just like the sun in the mirror cannot be counted as another sun. There is only one sun. And it's important rule here. Experience of Dvaitam, experience of duality cannot shake my conviction about non-duality, right? And he gives an example. He says the knowledge about the rope, when you inquire into the rope, what is the knowledge you get? It is the ignorance about the snake which is being removed, right? When you inquire into the rope, the idea that this is the rope removes the ignorance that it is a snake. And therefore, and this particular idea, when you include that, when you expand that, it means the rope represents all adhyasa, all superimpositions. Just as the lamp removes the external darkness, the jnanam removes your internal darkness. Right? Similarly, when I have Atmajnanam, who will know? Only you will know. You cannot go and ask your teacher, do I have Atmajnanam? He will not know. However good a teacher is, he will not know whether you have got Atmajnanam or not. Only you can know. Right? And therefore, two important ideas, Vedantic ideas, have been established. What are they? Karma cannot give liberation. Jnanam cannot give liberation. Jnanam is nothing but eliminating the idea that I am not liberated. And therefore, moksha is nothing but the claim that you make. Aham Brahma Asmi. Aham Brahma Asmi claim that you make. Claiming that I am Brahman, that is moksha. Now, since the Purvapakshi is a Jnana Karma Samuchavadi, Shankara wants to show that this combination is also not required. Jnanam does not require to be in combination with karma. Jnanam does not require the assistance of any karma for moksha. He gives an example. When you use a saw for cutting the wood into two, there is only one action that you do, the cutting. The cutting of the wood automatically results in the separation of the one piece of wood into two pieces. They are not different activities. So only one action is required. The cutting itself separates the wood into two pieces. So when the action is completed, the result is immediately seen. Nothing else is required. Why? Because the result is drishtaha. It is seen. Drishtaphalam. And he says similarly, for nididhyasanam, there is a drishtaphalam. Once the student claims that he is Brahman, That claim itself is moksha. No other karma is required. The student who understands Aham Brahmasmi is already free. He doesn't require any activity at all. And not only that, since he is Brahman, he is Akarta. So any activity, any karma done by the jnani after jnanam cannot be called karma. It is called karma abhasa, as if karma. Right? It's apparently karma, mirage of karma. So therefore, this jnana nishtha is what? Abiding the knowledge, nididhyasanam, constantly remembering that I am Brahman. That cannot be achieved with karma. It need not be combined with karma also. So the person who has jnanam can say that he has moksha. The person who has jnanam cannot say that I have got jnanam but no moksha. A lot of people who are not in the Vedantic tradition, especially people who are yoga darshanavadis, what do? They acquire jnanam and then they say, now I know I am Brahman, but I have got to have experience of Brahman. And therefore I need to meditate. I need to go to samadhi. So this is contradicting all those sort of people. The person who has jnanam has to say that he has moksha. He cannot say that he does not have moksha because jnanam is what? Aham brahmasmi jnanam. Aham brahmasmi jnanam is what? Moksha only. Right? Then the Purvapakshi objects. Right? What was Shankara saying? That the experienced fruit of jnanam is moksha. No karma is required. Drishta phala of jnanam is moksha. But the Purvapakshi misses this point and therefore says, is it not possible? You are saying that no karma is required. But what about karma like, you take two other karma. You have, say, one karma which is eating food, which gives freedom from hunger. And freedom from hunger is very much Drishta phala. But even after getting the Drishta phalam of freedom from hunger, you can still do some other karma, like maybe, going for a walk, going for a movie, going to Agnihotram. So the question is, if after having got Drishta phalam of eating, I can do some other karma, why is it that after having Drishta phalam of jnanam, I can't do any other karma? Right? I can do some other karma for some other phalam. Right? For example, in the example that I gave you, eating gives a drishta phalam of freedom from hunger. Now, if you want to be entertained, you can go for a movie. That is also drishta phalam. You enjoy the movie. So, this Purvapakshi's point is that it is not correct to say that once having got drishta phalam of one activity, you can't go and get another drishta phalam from another activity. That is the objection. Shankara says that is not correct. Why? Because if you look at this particular example which I gave you, the drishta phalam of eating is what? Freedom from hunger. But that is not anitya phalam. That is not nitya phalam. It is anitya phalam, right? It's a activity. It's a fruit which will have a limitation because eating once is not sufficient for lifetime. You can eat again. And eating, while the eating satisfies your hunger, it doesn't satisfy other things in life, entertainment, money. So he is saying here that he has missed the point that moksha is nitya phalam. And therefore he has given the example of eating because eating is anityam. For when you do some activity for some temporary fruit, anitya phalam, you can definitely do activity for another temporary fruit, another anitya phalam. But when you do when you have got jnanam and you got drishtaphalam which is nityam, moksha is nityam, kaivalyam is nityam. Once a person has got nitya phalam, he cannot have any other desire for any other phalam. So for the person who has got jnanam, the meaning of the word I changes. For the person who is eating, the I is the ahankara. That ahankara needs hunger to be satisfied, thirst to be satisfied, entertainment needs to be satisfied, bodily needs to be satisfied. So for him, the meaning of the word I is ahankara. But for the person who has got moksha, the meaning of I has changed. It is the Atma. Atma is infinite. Every karma is finite, and therefore all the fruits of karma are finite. But moksha is infinite. Infinite means what? It includes all the fruits of all the finite karmas. We saw earlier in Gita, sarvam karma akhilam partha jnane parisamapyate. All the fruits of all the karmas, hey Partha, they are included in the fruit of jnana. So when the infinite is attained, how can there be any additional finite goals? That is the question that Shankara asks. And he quotes from Gita itself, Sarvata Samplutodake. Wherever there is a huge body of pure drinking water, you will not make any efforts to dig a well because the water is there. Similarly, when knowledge gives kaivalya phalam, why would you make efforts for any other fruit at all? And therefore, after moksha, there are no other binding desires. We can add that. We can normally say cannot have any other desires, but that is not true. After moksha, jnani will have no binding desires. And Shankara gives an example. He says, supposing you are a king who is doing some sort of activity to, or supposing you are a person who is eligible to become a king, and therefore you are engaged in activity for becoming the king of a particular nation, particular kingdom. Why would you be engaged in any activity for acquiring a part of the land which is already part of the kingdom? Because when you become the king, anyway that land will be yours. So a person who is engaged in a larger activity will not have any interest in a small activity which is part of the larger activity. Therefore, the person who has jnana phalam, he doesn't require any other phalam at all. All phalams are included in the jnana phalam. And therefore, Shankara says, therefore, karma cannot be the sadhana for moksha. Right? And karma here includes all upasanas also. Because karma cannot give jnanam at all. But you cannot dismiss karma because karma is necessary for chitta shuddhi. And since karma cannot give jnanam, remember that any combination of karma contributes nothing to the jnana. Therefore, he says karma jnana samuchaya cannot be a sadhana. Jnanam alone will give moksha. And if after that the jnani does karma, it is karma abhasa. You can't say that jnani does not do karma. But karma abhasa has no phalam at all because it is not driven by desire, binding desires. It's like a roasted seed. You take a pumpkin seed and you put it in the ground, you will get a tree. But you roast the seed and put it in the ground, both the seeds look similar, roasted seed and the other seed, unroasted seed. One will produce sprout, the other will not. And therefore, karma and karma abhasa look similar, but one produces phalam, karma abhasa does not produce phala. Okay. So while on the subject, we should look at the various divisions of the jnana karma samuchaya darshanam. They have three ideas. They say that one is a samapradhana samuchaya, which means sama means equal. In this particular subdivision, Jnanam and karma are both of equal measure. For example, you do 1 hour of Shravanam Mananam Nididhyasanam and you accompany that with 1 hour of Karma Yoga. So that is Sama Pradhana Samuchaya. You both the activities are equal in nature. Then there is Jnana Pradhana Samuchaya. So Sama here means equal. Jnanam Pradhana means Jnana is dominant. So Jnanam is dominant, Karma is secondary, Karma is subservient. This is the second division. And the third division is Karma Pradhana Samuchaya, where Karma is dominant and Jnanam is different. And Shankara in his commentary talks about Jnana Pradhana Samuchaya. He says Jnanam, what is Jnana Pradhana Samuchaya? Jnanam assisted by Karma. Jnanam is the main activity, Karma is the supporting activity. Then only you can get moksha. That is the view of the Jnana Karma Samuchaya Vadi. So he says Jnanam does not need the assistance of Karma. And therefore, that combination is also not, or not required. And he gives a reason. Why is that so? Because jnanam, what is its function? Its function is to remove avidya. On the other hand, karma is the product of avidya. Why do you say that? Because avidya makes me think that I am not complete. Apurnatvam. Apurnatvam is the result of avidya. What avidya is this? The ignorance of the fact that I am Brahman, that I am Purnam. When I don't think I am Purnam, that is avidya. And that thought that I am not Purnam leads to the desire to become Purnam. And the desire to become Purnam leads to karma to make me Purnam. And therefore, karma is avidya karyam, product of avidya. So he says, jnanam basically is the tool for removing avidya. Right? And karma is a product of avidya. How can they combine? Right? So, wherever there is avidya, there is atma ajnanam. Ignorance is the fact that I am akarta and abhokta. And therefore, avidya leads to apurnatvam, which leads to identification of the body, which leads to me being a karta, which leads to karma phalam, to karma, and to karma phalam, and that leads to rebirth, samsara. This is a sequence. And therefore it says karma cannot, karma which is the very product of avidya, which is the son of avidya. How can you use that son to remove the father? You can't. And therefore karma cannot be the remover of avidya. And therefore he says knowledge alone is the sadhana for moksha. And Shankara says that is the central message of the Bhagavad Gita. Jnanam alone is the sadhana for moksha. Now in his commentary, he goes on to discuss the views of Purva Mimamsa, another darshana, right? So we have seen this earlier in many other Upanishads, we are seeing it here also. So he says in Purva Mimamsa, there is a group which says moksha is Swarga. They define moksha as Swarga. And therefore for them, Swarga is eternal. Right? Now Shankara does not discuss this particular group here. But as students, we should know the answer. Even though this group says that Swarga is eternal, in fact, they quote some Shruti Vakyam which says Swarga is Nityam. But even though Shruti says that Swarga is Nityam, we should know that Swarga cannot be Nityam. Why? Why can Swarga not be Nityam?
Pine
When
Punya
when the
Marchala
punyam is
Pradeshanti.
over, then come back. You are taken. Come back to the earth.
Yeah. So essentially to go to Swarga, you need to generate punyam. Right? So that's a karma phalam. Punyam is generated out of karma. So karma phalam is punyam, hence swarga is kama phalam, and therefore whatever is kama phalam cannot be nityam because karma itself is anityam. Therefore, yat karma phalam, tat anityam. Whatever is karma phalam has to be temporary. That is the answer to that. We are not discussing that particular viewpoint here, but I just mentioned that is one of the groups in Purvamamsa which says that Swarga is eternal, and we have to say that Swarga is not eternal. And of course, we as somebody said already, te tam bhuktva sargalokam vishalam shine punne martelokam vishanti. It is not permanent, therefore it cannot be called Swarga. We should know, of course, that Veda, Shruti does say in some places that Swarga is Nityam. But whenever that is there, we should understand that word Nityam as relatively Nityam because it's Karma Phala. And if you say that Swarga is eternal, it is inconsistent with logic, which says that Punyam has to be built up to come to Swarga. And every minute that you are in Swarga, you are utilizing that Punyam. Therefore, Shine Punye Matyalokam Vishanti. So, illogical to say that Swarga is eternal. So, that is the first group which Shankara does not discuss. Okay. I discuss because we should know. Now, there is a second group among the Purvamamsikas. They are called Aikya Bhavika Vadis. Aikya Bhavika Vadis. These people say that for moksha, you need not depend upon jnanam at all. You need not come to jnanam at all. You can attain karma by appropriate manage. You can attain moksha. Sorry, you can attain moksha by appropriate management of karma. What is their idea? Remember, we have seen this in Taittiriya Upanishad also, but here it is coming here, so we are repeating. So the Aikya Bhavikavadi says that you need not have jnanam at all, you just do proper management of karma. How is that? Number one, you perform all your nitya naimittika karmas regularly. What is the advantage of doing that?
Punyam.
Punyam. But here, what this person says is that it doesn't. Nitya naimittika karma doesn't generate any punyam. However, it helps you in avoiding pratyavaya papam. We have seen that also. And we have seen how that should be interpreted, right? So his first thing is that by doing this mandatory karma, nitya naimitya karma, your pratyabhaya papam is avoided. Then what should you do? You should avoid kamya karma and nisheda karma. Avoid kamya karma and prohibited karma. If you do that, kamya karma generates punyam, nisheda karma generates papa. Therefore, avoiding kamya karma and avoiding nisheda karma means you are avoiding punyam and papam generation. Right? Remember that we say that Nitya Naimitya Karma produces Punyam, but this particular viewpoint is that there is Nitya Naimitya Karma is mandatory and therefore it doesn't produce any Punyam at all. Only Pratyavaya Papam is avoided. It's like paying your tax. It's a mandatory duty. You don't get rewarded if you pay tax, but if you don't pay tax, you get penalized. So his idea is the same. Nitya Naimitya Karma, you have to regularly perform, then pratyavaya papam is avoided. And then avoid kama karma, you avoid punyam. Avoid nishidha karma, you avoid papam. What remains? Prarabdha karma. That you exhaust. Right? So his idea is that if you do these things, three things, by the end of your life, prarabdha karma is exhausting all the punyam and papam which is in prarabdha. And you are not doing any papam, when you are not getting any punyam. Therefore, when your life is exhausted, your balance of punyam papam becomes zero. And what is that? When you get zero papam, what happens? Zero papam, zero punyam. You don't have rebirth. You are got moksha. Very neat solution. Right? Without coming to jnana.
Ignore Sanchita Karma.
Yeah,
You know Sanchita karma.
exactly.
So Aikya Bhavika means in one janma. You don't have to wait for the next janma for rebirth. In one janma itself, you get moksha. No. And further he says that you, O Advaitin, will never get moksha. Because why? Because you are only doing jnanam and you are only engaged in jnanam and you are not addressing the nitya naimitya karma. which means you will get pratyaya papan and therefore you will go to Naraga, to hell. Right? So all of us who are engaged in doing jnanam and ignoring nityanamita karma, we are all engaged in the gathering of pratyaya papam. And therefore, your ticket to hell is guaranteed. Your ticket to Naraka is guaranteed. Right? And he says moksha is eternal. There is no need to create it. But karma is what binds you in this universe, in this jagat. So get rid of karma. And I've shown you how to get rid of karma. Those 3 steps. Once that is done, moksha automatically takes place. Right? What is that? Do karma which does not bind you, nitya karma, and avoid the other two. And hey, you are Jivan Mukta straight away. This is his Aikya Bhavikavadi's Vada discussion. So Shankara responds, and you have already given the response, some of you. Shankara says, I agree that by avoiding Nishiddha karma and Kama karma, punyams and papams can be avoided. But you cannot avoid all punya papam because Sanchita karma cannot be exhausted in current janma. If at all you say Sanchita karma is being exhausted in this janma, that is not Sanchita, it is Prarabdha. So we have to remember the main postulate of the Aikya Bhavikavadi. Nitya Naimita karma avoids Pratyavaya papam, but Nitya Naimita karma does not produce any karma phalam of its own. We as Vedantins do not accept that. Why? Because as long as Kartrutvam is there, phalam will definitely be there. Right? But Shankara, while responding to this question, doesn't raise up this point. Because his discussion is how to handle Sanchita in the current life. And Shankara says there is only one way to destroy Sanchita. And Krishna has already said that. Jnana agni sarva karmani basabasat kurote tata. You have to come to Jnana. So this is what Shankara says. That your idea is very good, but Sanchita cannot be destroyed in current Janma. The Purabhakshi says, no, no, no. You have not understood the Shruti properly. Right? He gives a very, very ingenious argument. He says, Sanchita can be handled in the current Janma. How is that? You should perform all your Nitya Naimita karmas very correctly, on time, without default. And if you do that, remember there is a very good, very strong effort required. There is an effort required in performing all these karmas, Nitya Naimita karmas. And performing karmas is an effort. Effort means there is a particular pain which comes in. And therefore he says, the pain which you are going through in performing the Nitya karma and the Naimita karmas, that pain is actually what? That pain is the fruits of Sanchita karma which is being experienced. So this is his argument, that you have not understood. It is not true that Sanchita karma cannot be handled in current janma. The effort and the pain which I go through in performing my Nitya Naimita karmas, that's actually the pain of the fruits of Sanchita karma. And then he gives one more solution. He says Nitya karma can be said to be Prayashita karma, which destroys the Sanchita karma. So that is the solution. That the pain that you are getting doing Nitya karma is to be treated as Prayashita karma. Prayashita karma does what? Destroys Papa. At which Papa is it destroying? Sanchita karma. Therefore, the Nitya Naimita karma will itself be the Prayashita karma for neutralizing all the Sanchita karma. Therefore, for this particular viewpoint, this Aikya Bhavikavadi, what is the blueprint for moksha? First, the exhaustion of prarabdha by experiencing how the pain, right? What kind of pain? Headaches, body aches, fever, mosquito bites, taps running dry at night, you know, kids screaming at night, any pain which you experience in prarabdha, right? That you have to experience. What does it do? It exhausts prarabdha. And then you are not doing any Nishiddha karma or agami karma. Therefore, there is no agami papam or agami punyam, right? There is no freshly produced punyam or papam. And then you are doing this pain of the nitya naimita karma. That nitya naimita karma is functioning as a prayaschitta karma to destroy a sanchita. So when the body falls, your karma balance has been exhausted. Why? Because the body falling means the prarabdha karma has been exhausted. You have not done any agami karma to get punyam or papam. We have done pitta karma to avoid pratyavaya papam. And that therefore what is the final result? When finally body dies, there is a zero balance of karma in your account. Therefore, moksha is obtained without any additional effort. So when he doesn't have the Jivan Mukti concept, right? It is Videha Mukti directly when the body falls. Okay. And note that in this whole solution which is given, there is no Ishvara. There is no Karma Pradata. Why? Because he is a Purva Mimamsika. He keeps saying that karma itself is a solution for everything. I hope you guys are following. Any questions so far?
Om, does does this in any way meet this idea that there is no need for Ishvara to support you? You need to do all your karma properly.
There is no Ishvara at all in this story.
Yeah, so there is no Ishvara. So does it anyway match with Buddhism?
No, Buddhism is different totally. Because Buddhism doesn't believe in the Veda. Here he is a very much a Vaidika. We discussed this on yesterday, I think. He's a Astika Nastika.
Okay.
Right? He believes in Veda but doesn't believe in Ishvara.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now what does Shankara say? Shankara says there is no basis in the Veda that moksha can be obtained without jnana. Why do we say that? Because this gentleman, Purva Mimamsika, is an Astika fellow. Therefore, he says that what does Veda say? Tam viditva eva. Only by knowing that Atma. The eva is critical. Eva means only, without any other way. So only by knowing the Atma, atimrityam eti. This is a quote from Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Tam viditva eva atimrityam eti. Nanya pantaha vidyate ayanayaha. Only by knowing Atma, moksha is possible. Atimrityu means going beyond death. Moksha is possible. And the anya pantaha, there is no other way at all. This Shvetashvatara Upanishad, which we have not done. But this is a quote which Shankara gives. And he says, why are we saying there is no other path to moksha? Because you define Satyam as something which is permanent, something which cannot be removed. And if bondage were Satyam, then the very definition of Satyam is that which never goes away. And if bondage were Satyam, then bondage would never go away. Right? But bondage does go away. Therefore, it is not Satyam. Then why do you think it is Satyam? Because there is a misconception on your part. You think of the non-Satyam as the Satyam. So the error consists in incorrect knowledge. The very basis of bondage is what? Ajnanam, incorrect knowledge. What is the only way to remove ajnanam? You cannot do karma. You cannot scrub the floor and expect the ajnanam to go. That ajnanam can be removed by jnanam alone. Right? That is the first thing. Then that was the Shruti part of it. He says, Shruti says that jnanam produces moksha. Then he uses logic. See, this is the discussion regarding Sanchita karma which we saw just now. So Shankara says you are talking about Sanchita Papam, right? Which is not Prarabdha Papam. So Vedantins say that whatever is Prarabdha only can be exhausted in this lifetime. But Shankara says, let us, for argument's purpose, hypothetically, accept that Sanchita can be addressed during this life. How? As you say, by performing Nitya Karma, saying that Nitya Karma serves as Prayaschitta Karma to exhaust Sanchita Papa. Fine, let us even accept that. What is the hole in the theory?
The punyam of Sanchit.
What about Sanchita Punyam? If you have exhausted Sanchita Papam, there still remains lots of Sanchita Punyam. How will you exhaust that? Just as your papams are waiting to fructify, so too there are huge number of punyams waiting to fructify. Therefore, if just by showing that your effort of doing nitya karma functions as prayaschitta karma to destroy sanchita papam, you have not addressed sanchita punyam. Therefore, there is a big hole in your theory. That is sanchita karma. Then he says, okay, we are still talking about whom? About the Aikya Bhavikavadi. So Shankara dismissed the idea that Nitya Naimita karma can be used to destroy Sanchita Punyam. Then, what was the second thing? Handling of Agami karma. How did the Aikya Bhavikavadi say they should handle Agami karma? He said, avoid Kamya karma, so no Agami Punyam. Avoid Nishiddha karma, so no Agami Papam. Hence, there will be no Punyam and Papam. Shankara says, who is the person whom we are telling to avoid Kamya karma, Nishada karma, Jnani or Ajnani? It's a Ajnani, right? Ajnani will always have Kama, always have desires. How can he avoid Kamya karma? Kamya karma can be avoided only when there is no desire. And the destruction of desire can only happen when you know that all desires are already contained within you, which is a jnani. Similarly, dvesha will also be there for ajnani. Just as he cannot avoid kamya karma, he cannot avoid nishiddha karma also. Right? And he says, since the very cause for dharma, dharmic and adharmic karma is raga dvesha, the removal is not possible by any other manner other than falsifying them as mithya, which is what? Atmajnana. So Shankara says that Kame karma and Nishiddha karma cannot be avoided as long as Atma Ajnanam is there. Only when Atma Jnanam is there, you will falsify this Kamya karma, Nishiddha karma. They don't belong to you anymore. And therefore he says the elimination of Agami Punyam and Papam also is an impossibility in your particular methodology. This is what has been stated. So let us now consolidate so far what we have seen. So this is called a Simha.
Can I
Yeah, yeah.
ask one question?
Please go.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Then, in that case, the acceptance of fact that I am operating in a Dvait world, does it not mean that uh, I have reached the knowledge that is sufficient for me to avoid kartrutva bhava and avoid the papam and punyam palam?
See, in the what they call process of becoming jnani, there are two stages. One is to distinguish between Atma and Anatma, between you and the world. That's a distinction. I am Atma, the world is Anatma. That is the dualistic stage you're talking about. But at that stage, both are Satyam. To relegate Anatma Mithya requires Mahavakyam. That is the second stage. And if you have relegated Anatma to Mithya, then you're a Jnani. So then this argument of Kartrutvam doesn't apply. But we are not talking about Jnanis over here. Here are talking about the Aikya Bhavikavadi. This is his, he doesn't talk about Jnanam at all. He is saying that there is no need for Jnanam. My process is enough. Okay. So now we will do a Simha Avalokana Nyaya. What is that? The lion looking back to see what territory has been covered. Right? So what have we done so far? Sanchita Punyam cannot be neutralized. Agami Punyam and Papam cannot be avoided. Now, one of the fundamental ideas of the Purvamimamsika is that Nitya Naimita Karma is a mandatory duty and therefore it is Nishphalam. There is no phalam for doing that duty. Right? As I said, it's like paying income tax for which there is no reward, but not paying the tax will attract penalty. Right? Now, here, remember that the basic principle of this Aikyavadikavadi is being violated. This particular principle is violated because when you say Nitya Naimita Karma can neutralize Sanchita Karma, what does it mean?
That means phalam is there.
There is a phalam for Nitya Naimita Karma. So when he is putting forward that argument, he is violating his basic principle itself, that Nitya Naimita Karma is Nishphala. Okay, Shankara doesn't give you this commentary, okay? But we should add this in our minds for rejecting the Aikya Bhavikavada. But Shankara says in a different way. He says that since Nityanani karma has no phalam according to you, therefore you are employing it for neutralizing Sanchita karma. It's a loaded statement. Since you are saying that Nityanamita karma is nishphalam, therefore you are using it to as a prayaschitta karma for negating Sanchita karma. Had Nityanamita karma had a phalam, then you could not have used it this way because that phalam is already there. You can't have a second phalam. Right? And Shankara says, you got your idea wrong. When you say that Nitya Naimita Karma is Nishphalam, you are violating Shastram. And you are a Astika as far as Shastra is concerned. What is Shastra, what do you call, quotation? There is one in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. We have not seen. It says, Nityanam cha karmanam punya loka phala shrutehe. Right? That Nitya Naimita Karma has two phalams. Kamya karma and Nishkam has two phalams. Kamya phalam and Nishkama phalam. Right? When you perform the karma, Nitya Naimita Karma, you do a sankalpa. For sankalpa, the sankalpa is the option to choose Kamya phalam, material phalam, or Nishkama phalam. Right? What is the highest Kamya phalam? Swarga. Because the maximum, the biggest phalam that you can get out of karma is what? Swarga. But that same karma, which would have given you Swarga, had, if your sankalpa was different, if you didn't ask for any punyam for material results, then you will get chitta shuddhi. That is why, for example, Agnihotram, Vedic karma, is classified as Kamya Agnihotram as well as Nishkama Agnihotram, depending upon what is the sankalpa that you use. What is the material benefit you get? For that you have to do the sankalpa as Kamya sankalpa. If you want chitta shuddhi, the sankalpa has to be Nishkama sankalpa. And therefore Shankara says, whether you like it or not, this Nityanamita karma will produce punyam. Right? And that punyam will give you rimat, whether you want it or not. If you choose Kame Sankalpa. And Shankara quotes from a text called Avasthamma Sutra Smriti, Dharma Sutras, right, of Karma Kanda. I think it's Krishna Ajurveda. He says because of Nitya Naimita karmas done by persons belonging to different Varna ashramas, what is the result? After death, they will experience karma phalam in Swarga. Right? It's a quotation from this particular Apastamba Smriti. What does it say? People who do Nityanamida karmas, they will experience the phalam as going to Swarga. And after exhausting that phalam which took them to Swarga, they will be born again in this world. So he's saying this statement itself is Shruti proof that Nitya karma produces phalam, and that is punya. So you cannot say that Nitya Nidra karma is nishphalam. Right? And there is a particular rule, Mimamsa rule, a rule for interpreting Shruti Vakyams. It says that when Shruti gives you instruction to do a certain karma, but does not specify the karma phalam, then you should understand that as punyam, which will give you a punya loka phalam, which means a better life. And therefore, your statement that Nitya Namita karma does not have any phalam is not correct. It has phalam. And so it has got phalam of its own. Therefore, your theory that it can be used to neutralize Sanjita karma is not correct. You get the idea? So it's like, the spare bedroom in your house where nobody is staying. What do? Use it for? You use it for dumping all the kachara, all the rubbish. Is it not? You are using it for dumping the rubbish for what reason? Because that bedroom is not having any occupancy. But had your child been staying there, then that bedroom was not available to you to dump things. Similarly, he says, Nitya Namita karma has a fruit of its own, and therefore it is not available to you to use as a prayashchita karma for sanchita karma. All very, very heavy subject, but beautiful logic. Now, what is left? Sanchita Papa. What is the view of the Aikya Bhavikavadi? It is that because Nitya Karma requires a lot of effort, right? What effort? Maintaining the fire, sitting awake, getting up in the morning, having a wash, going, sitting there, all that mandatory effort is required, which is a lot of dukkha, lot of pain is there. And he says that there is no other phalam for Nitya Karma, it is nishphalam. Therefore, it can be used for exhausting Sanchita Papa. Right? So that is the objection. But we have already seen the answer. It has already got a phalam, and therefore it cannot be used for as a prayashchita for Sanchita karma. Right? This is so far is the Purvapakshi objection. Now Shankara says Sanchita karma is given the name Sanchita karma to distinguish it from karma which has result in this janma. So remember that in the older texts, you won't find the word prarabdha karma, you will find the word arabdha karma. Arabdha means that which has begun. So Sanchita karma is given the name Sanchita karma to distinguish it from arabdha karma, karma which has begun to give results, which is what we call prarabdha karma. So it refers, Sanchita karma therefore refers to karmas which are not active in this current janma, in this current birth. And therefore it cannot give pleasure or pain in this current birth. If you don't accept this distinction, then you are clubbing Sanchita and Prarabdha under one head, which is not the intention of Shruti. Right? So There itself, your idea is wrong. Then he gives another argument. Nitya Namita karma is always governed by Varnashrama. Each Varnashrama has different set of Nitya Namita karma. And they have to practice uniformly. Hence, they will have the same amount of pain. So, Agnihotram, for example, you have to do the same actions, right? Sitting there, having a bath, sitting there, whether it is winter, sitting in the winter, summer, sitting in the summer, offering the in front of a fire, giving the offerings, all that is painful, not an effort. But it is the same amount of effort for everybody. The amount of effort which I make would be the same as the amount of effort which you make. It's a very ingenious argument. Okay, therefore, the amount of pain is similar in the case of all people who do a particular, karma. Say Agnihotra, for example, or Sandhya Vandanam. Right? Amount of pain is the same. But he says you take two people, A and B. When A does this karma, he has 100 units of pain, let us say. When B does the karma, he has 100 units of pain. When C does the karma, he also has 100 units of pain. But you go back to the Sajita karma, papams. Go back to Sajita papams. Will you say that everybody's Sajita papam is 100 units? No. People have different units of Sajita papam. How can uniform pain experienced in Nitya karma be exhausting different units of papam in the Sanchita papam of different people? Okay, with this we'll stop for today. Any questions? You're all very, very, hair splitting, but good. Makes us think. No questions?
Sir, I have one or two questions. I'll post them. I'll listen to this again and I will post
Okay,
them.
fine. All right. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Thank you for your patience. Om Om Om.
That's it. Thank you.
Om Namah
Thank you.